Good morning everybody, this is my current pedalboard setup. So we will talk about the pedalboard that I'm using and the pedals that is on my board. And originally this pedalboard is a Q pedalboard, but it was given to me by Mr. Mark Elner. Thank you so much. But I customized the pedalboard. I just removed the top portion and use only the bottom portion. So that's it. The wires can be seen. So to start off with my pedalboard, by the way, I would like to discuss the pedals that I'm using and also my settings. So to start with, I'm using a X5 pedal tuner. So far this pedal tuner is better than the China tuner pedals that I've been trying, like the Ruin and the Coco. So far this pedal this tuner is worth buying, and it's accurate and it's very the tuning is very accurate and very fast. So that's why I use this tuner pedal. So as you can see, I'm using the loop box because the purpose of this loop box is to loop the noise gate, the overdrive, and my main distortion, so that when I turn off the loop box, it will bypass or make my signal from the guitar directly to the next pedals, because I don't want to during the clean tones I need to turn off the overdrive and the distortion pedals. So instead of stepping those two buttons, I have only to step this one button. So next off, I'm using a noise suppressor Boss MS2. This helped me a lot tuning the hums and feedbacks. It really suppressed those noise. So for my setting, I set my threshold to 3 o'clock and the decay is at minimum, and I'm using the mute mode because as I observe the mute mode versus the reduction mode, the mute mode is more natural to me, but the reduction mode is sort of a buffered sound that I don't like. I just want to be natural, so I use the mute mode. So this pedal was bought from Japan around 5,000 yen or 2,500 pesos at that time. So that's why I also, for the decay, that's why I made it to minimum, because I want the sustain of my tone to prolong more. So that's why I set to 0 or minimum, the least value. Next, I'm using the Maxon OD808 because I'm a fan of Killswitch Engage, and they're using this overdrive and overdrive pedal, and it helps me a lot on my distorted tones, dirty tones. So for my settings, I set the drive to 0, and the tone knob usually I always set to middle, but sometimes I would like to use this tone knob as my presence, just like in the amps that you see a presence knob. So it's like that kind of function. And for the balance or the volume, Sometimes I set to full, sometimes I set to, but mostly I set this to pure clock. So for my drive, I set to 0 because as I observe, if I put a little amount of drive, I can observe that my tone is getting muddy, so I don't like that. I just want to use this as clean boost to my distortion pedal. And next, to my main dirty pedal, distortion pedal, I use the Blackstar HD Metal pedal, which is a tube powered distortion pedal. So far I tested so many distortion pedals like Metal Zone, Metal Core, and all those famous distortion pedals like MXR 5150 and also JHS Angry Charlie. Yeah, and I'm sorry to say, but it didn't fit in my taste. It all boils down to personal preference, but based on my my requirements and my hearing ability on my personal taste, I don't really like those pedals because it's like, it sounds like a solid state. That's why I choose this Blackstar HD Metal, because I can feel that you're really using a tube amp. So that's why. But the downside of this one is that it's not a tight pedal, so you need to tweak around the knobs. So here, this is my settings. So I'm using the channel 2, which is the high gain channel. So yeah, very simple settings. And for my delay and flanger pedals, I use the Amon Echo and the Rowan flanger. These are very cheap because I don't use these pedals on my main band. This is just for if I have a chance to play with like bands like Power Spoons, that. So it's just a preparation. And next, I'm using the liner in my AVY switch because of my metal band. So I'm using the 2 amps. So this is like a Y splitter. Yeah, and as of now, these are my pedals. But when I want to use my wah pedal, I will just like simply put here in the front of the tuner and use a patch cable to connect with the tuner, because I'm not using all the time with wah. By the way, this wah is a Mod Tone. The brand is Mod Tone. It's very old. And this is a true bypass wah pedal. That's what I like this wah pedals. And also, by the way, for the power supply that I'm just using an ordinary power supply daisy chain, very cheap one I bought online, and it can supply 8 pedals, so very cheap, around 500 pesos or lesser. And also this Blackstar has its own power supply separate, I think 18 volts or 24 volts. And for the patch cables, I'm mixing types of the patch cables, and I cut it according to the length, but it's not, as you can see, it's not perfect, but it gets the job done. And I use an ordinary patch cable. I use a pancake type patch cables. So that's it. This is my current pedal board setup. Thank you for watching.